Can a jointly owned property in Dubai be sold if one co-owner disagrees? It is owned equally. The short answer is no. In order to sell any share in the property, all owners in that property have to agree. And not only agree, but they also have to formally sign the document that ultimately authorizes the transfer of whatever share from whoever. And the logic behind it is fairly simple, especially with regards to ownership of properties. In most cases, properties are owned either by a family, a married couple, and often those individuals even share the property itself or live in the property together. So imagine selling somebody's share, the other owner's share, without the authorization or approval or sign off of the other owner of the property, and all of a sudden you have a co-owner in this property. So for many even practical reasons, this does not make sense to allow transfer of shares in the property without the sign off of all the other owners. So the answer is no. And in the event the parties are at a crossroads or there's a stalemate and they cannot agree on selling the shares, so the only other option is to file a court case. And then the court will ultimately issue an order to basically liquidate the property or to sell it off at an auction. And so that also is quite informative because that means that even the court will not decide or will not force the other owner to agree for the sale of the share to some stranger. So in the court stance in cases like this is that when you have ultimately these two partners or three partners, how many partners, that are disagreement, then the partnership is broken. So therefore, it is not fair for the court to force one or the other partner to accept a new partner without their consent. So therefore, the ultimate process in the courts is that the court will always issue an order to auction off the property, and then the proceeds of the property will then be split between the owners in whatever proportion. So that's kind of the process, and that also is perhaps a lesson for all those who find themselves at a disagreement that. Whenever a property is sold at an auction, usually is sold at a lesser price or below its market. And there's also costs associated with the court proceedings and the auction fees and such. So therefore, I guess the moral of the story is that whenever you do have the kind of a disagreement, it would benefit both owners or all of the co-owners to come together and decide on some sort of a compromise instead of going to court.